Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another CycleLab Coffee Time live show. I love this time of the week. Every day I wake up on a Friday, and I know it's the Coffee Time show. I know it's the weekend, and we can get some good riding in. As always, it's a live show, so if you do have any questions for our guest speaker, please leave them in the comments section. There's amazing prizes up for grabs, so stay tuned throughout the show, and you could be getting your hands on some amazing nutritional products. Today we have Matthew from Namad Sport, not Name Sport, it is Namad Sport. We're
Namad Sport, yeah.
Run through that shortly. So thank you for joining us. It's an amazing product. It's the sponsor of the Giro, it's the sponsor of the Tour de France.
Also sponsor of the Volta.
And the sponsor of the Volta.
Yeah.
So the three main Grand Tours, the 3-week races, this brand is the #1 main sponsor. So it's great to have them on board and involved and to chat to you guys about nutrition and what it actually does for a cyclist.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
It's only a pleasure.
Like you were saying, we've always had, bought the brand in, and a lot of guys are calling it Named or Namad. It's actually called Namad, Namad Sport.
Okay.
And Namad is actually an acronym for natural medicine. That's where the name comes from, and that does go into a little bit of the history behind the brand and where it's come from. Do you want me sort of to get into that?
Yeah. I mean, where's it from? Obviously start somewhere, and then you guys bring it in. And
Yeah.
how's the whole process? What's the kind of history behind the brand?
Yeah, so the brand at the moment is the leading Italian pharmaceutical sports nutrition brand. So it was designed in Italy. Their parent company is actually called Namad Pharmaceuticals. Since about 1988, they've been in the pharmaceutical game, focusing on natural medicine. Pretty much in about 2014, the brand decided that they wanted to combine their passion for healthcare and their passion for sport and create a sports supplement brand that is backed by research and innovation, contributes to performance, and uses the best raw ingredients that they can source in and around the world to obviously come back again to the...
Guys, our coffee. Sorry to interrupt. The coffee machine was a bit
Thank you.
cold earlier. I hope you guys got your
It's coffee time, so you've got to have our coffee.
Got to have your coffee.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. Yeah, so pretty much that's where the brand has come from. Over the last, call it 6 years, 5-6 years, they've pretty much expanded to cover all ranges of sport, whether it be endurance, CrossFit, bodybuilding, they have the full range.
Okay.
From our side, we brought the brand into the country in 2018.
Okay. So, in the bigger scheme of things, that's quite recent. If you
Yeah,
think about
very
it.
recent. Yeah, it's give it 2.5 years or so. So it is relatively new in a market that is dominated by other brands that have been around for 10-15 years. So we are a very new brand, but in itself, internationally, we've managed to get out there, get it exposed, get it onto the TV. And as you mentioned before, we are the sponsors of Giro d'Italia, La Vuelta, and the Tour de France. So that gives
And
us
you're
a
also
lot
getting into some local sponsorship races.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
You guys are sponsoring a few races in the coming weeks. Any
Yeah.
mention of that, or
So our biggest one at the moment is 947 Ride Joburg.
Okay.
We started that sponsorship in 2018. That was sort of our official launch into the cycling industry. So we've done the Cycle Challenge. We sponsored Pano Tour last year. We do quite a few smaller events. We try and get out as much as possible. One of our big events that's always an exciting one on our calendar, and I think for any cyclist, is Double Century.
Yeah.
So for us, last year was the first year that we sponsored. So we sponsored all of their VIP teams, including Nibali. He came through. He is a brand representative for us already, but we managed to get it onto that. And we also looked at sponsoring the Double Century development teams.
Okay,
just to help them out a little bit during the race, get them the nutrition that they need. And then we've also sampled in a lot of race packs. Not just cycling. We've gone triathlon. We've gone into running. We just sponsored got into the race pack for the Cape Town Marathon. But there's quite a few exciting races coming up that we're going to try and be there and get into the race pack so the guys can at least try our products.
you guys are running a competition at the moment because of the Giro
Yes.
d'Italia.
Yeah.
So I just want to bring that up quickly and just to mention to our viewers, guys, you need to go onto the CycleLab Facebook page and find that post, and you need to comment in the comment section who you think is going to win the Giro, kind of as an individual, and then who's going to win the team competition. And there's 5 NAMID hampers which are going to be given away to the winners. In addition to that, there's actually 2 hampers today worth 750 Rand, which we are giving away, which you're going to have to answer a question at the end of the show, so stay tuned. But let's get into the kind of nitty-gritty of cycling and sports nutrition.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many... sorry, I clicked the wrong button. There's so many things to do kind of pre-ride, during ride, and post-ride.
Yeah.
And there's kind of all these products here on the table. If we're starting with kind of like a pre-build-up to a race or a ride, what would you recommend that we kind of consume as athletes?
So everyone's different. So you got to remember that everyone is different. So your requirements are going to change from person to person. Everyone's unique. They're not going to have the exact same requirements. So essentially what we look at with our range, we've got different categories of our range. You've got your hydration, you've got energy, recovery, and well-being. Those are the few that we focused on. Coming up to a race, ideally you want to look for a loading period, and I am talking about the guys who are eating carbs, so not the keto guys at the moment, but generally you want to look at a loading period anywhere sort of 48 to 72 hours before a race, where you want to start loading up on your carbohydrates and your macronutrients, as well as your micronutrients, your vitamins, your minerals, etc. So generally, you're looking at around 8 to 10 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight, sort of coming up up towards a race. Okay,
it's kind of like a loading...
As a loading phase, yeah. And then ideally, just before your ride, you're probably going to look at around, I think 3 to 4 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight, consuming that about 2 to 3 hours before you start your race. Okay. And it needs to be a carbohydrate that is low fiber and easy to digest. Okay. The idea is that you want to get it digested, get the blood glucose level up, so you're getting that energy stores and the requirements that you're going to need for that activity. Okay. From there, during race, that again comes down to body weight. If you a 90 kilo guy as opposed to a 60 kilo female, your nutritional needs are going to be different. Okay, especially when it comes in through to your carbohydrates. Okay. So generally, you're looking at around, I think it's 5 to 6 grams of carbs per body weight. So per hour.
Per hour. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So a guy generally around, I think it's 80 kilos. You're probably looking 60 to 80 grams of carbs per hour.
Okay.
So when you're creating your nutritional strategy, you want to look at where you're going to get those carbs from. Is it from your drink? Is it from your gels? Is it bars? Is it
so
food?
kind of all...
Yeah, you got to bring it
into one pool.
Pretty much, yeah. And then obviously, during your race, you got to look at your race profile as well. You don't want to take a gel that's going to give you the carbohydrates too early or too late.
100%.
Coming up to a climb, you want to hit that gel a few minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes before, so it can digest and get that energy ready for that climb. Because we're going to be putting more effort into it.
100%,
Coming up to a sprint at the end, you want to have the legs, and
you want to have that bomb at the right time.
Pretty much, exactly, yeah.
But I mean, it actually sounds like quite a lot. I know, like a lot of people who are trying to lose weight and cut down, they can sometimes actually cut down too much.
Yes.
And actually losing energy, they're losing that kind of daily kind of spark in them because they just have no energy at all.
Yeah. So, we pretty much use a hell of a lot of energy during activity. You don't realize how much calories you're burning. I mean, if you go and check your Garmin files after your ride, you can be burning anywhere sort of 1,000 to 1,200 calories per hour. And if you're not bringing that energy back in, your body's gonna either decide, okay, well, I'm gonna go and bonk, or I'm just not gonna perform at all 100%. For you. And that obviously also comes into your recovery, post your race.
So looking at these, I mean, this is called ISO, yeah, just take us
Isonam Energy. Yeah.
Isonam Energy. So when would someone particularly use this?
Okay.
this
So
product?
at the moment, we've got two products that fall into our hydration categories.
Okay.
So you've got your HydroFit and then you've got your Isonam Energy. Okay. Now, when we look at hydration for during an activity, there's quite a few factors that we need to look into. Okay. Your hydration isn't necessarily about getting water into the system. It's about keeping your muscle cells hydrated.
Okay.
A muscle cell needs to be hydrated with minerals and vitamins to be able to work. Okay, so generally what we look at is, are we replenishing those vitamins and minerals in the system? And then also with the hydration, we want to look at carbohydrates, right? So when it comes down to hydration solutions, we look at what's called the tonicity of a solution. So tonicity will be essentially the salt to water ratio. And if the salt to water ratio is very similar to your blood, your product will be isotonic. Okay? And that means that you get a better transport of carbohydrates into the system. So if you're looking for a product that's going to give you more carbohydrates for a shorter, higher intensity duration type activity, you want to go for an isotonic solution, which
Okay.
would be your Isonam Energy.
Isonam.
Okay.
Sounds like we're getting robbed there for a moment.
What's nice with our Isonam product is
Yeah.
you are getting your magnesium, potassium, you're getting vitamin C and B6, but
Okay.
you're also getting creatine. You're getting 3 grams of creatine monohydrate, and you're
Okay.
also getting 30 milligrams of ginseng. So
Where would that help?
okay, so
Creatine.
if we look at how the body works, there's 3 energy systems that the body uses. And
Okay.
essentially, it'll go ATP-PC, which is your explosive energy, can be pretty much up to about 20 seconds, up to a minute or 2. Then you move over into anaerobic and then aerobic.
Okay.
So essentially, if you're looking at the ATP-PC energy system, that's your power. You know, it's your sprints, it's getting in front of the peloton or in front of the group. And what happens is ATP will break down during that usage of the energy into ADP and a phosphocreatine. And what creatine does is it helps with replenishing that energy or giving the system that extra creatine
Okay.
to bring it back
Yeah,
to
okay, perfect.
replenish your
Understand,
energy.
understand.
So for me, I normally say isotonic solutions work very well for your shorter, higher intensity duration type racing or training. I think we had a question on
Yes, there-
hydration
yeah,
there
there
as
was
well.
a few Instagram questions.
Yeah.
Let me just bring them up. Yeah, so we covered how long before a race you must eat before a 55
Yeah.
kilometer mountain bike race. We said 3 hours.
Yep.
And then
Think
Stian _98, thank you for this question. He said, is HydroFit better suited for long or short distance rides at high intensity?
Okay, cool. So for a shorter ride at high intensity, I would go Isonam. That would
Okay.
probably be a better product for that sort of
Yeah, because it
application.
has the carbs, it has the kind of
Yes.
replenishing substances as opposed to just an electrolyte.
Yeah, so HydroFit is a little bit different in terms of its tonicity of the solution. It comes in at about 198 milliosmoles, which means it is hypotonic.
That is that word is very complicated.
Which one? Osmolarity? or-
Osmolarity.
Again, essentially, it's just the sort of salt to water ratio. So the sodium levels are a little bit lower. But what a hypertonic solution means is that your minerals and vitamins will cross over your gut wall a lot quicker and a lot faster, and replenish what you're losing during activity.
Okay.
So like I said earlier, hydration is about getting those minerals and vitamins into
Yeah.
the muscle. The HydroFit is designed to get that transport across. Okay.
Okay.
So essentially, you know, what we say is if you're sweating and you're putting an effort in that's going to cause sweat or use of those minerals and
You
vitamins,
have to replace.
HydroFit would be ideal. Now, you know, it's not ever a case of HydroFit for long riding and Isonam for short.
Okay.
It again comes down to personal preference
Sure.
and what works for the person and the athlete.
And kind of how many bars you're eating, how many gels you're having. I mean, because that's obviously like if you're using a kind of an electrolyte, if you're eating a bar, it can kind of sometimes, or not really.
Sort of, not really,
Okay,
no.
okay.
You know, if your bar does have vitamins and minerals, it will still come across. For me, or for Namit Sport, you know, we've got bars that are designed for carbohydrates. So you got something like your energy bar, which
Okay.
is a 35 gram bar, but it's 30 grams of high GI carbohydrates.
Okay,
So it's
sugar.
essentially, at the end of the day, yeah, it's your natural sugars. It's going to digest quickly in the system, easily in the stomach, and get across to replenish that glucose level, essentially, and bring that glucose level up.
I mean, I love eating, so this is my favorite part of the conversation, is the bars. How many different bars do you have? I'm very familiar with the kind of this like Rice Krispie bar.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I've eaten it before. Then you get the protein bar, which is kind of for, I mean, obviously recovery protein. And then you get this kind of, this one's also for during the ride. That's the Total Energy fruit bar.
Yeah.
So you got a bunch of bars in the range?
Yeah, so the bar range is quite extensive. I mean, we haven't even bought in all the bars that they do, or that Namit Sport does, as well as it's got quite an extensive flavor range as well. So essentially what we do is we can break down the bars into pre, during, and after. What is quite nice is on our products you will actually see, it gives you an indication of whether it is before, during, or after.
Okay.
So which is very nice.
That's very nice.
Yeah. So during activity, we've got your energy bar and your Total Energy fruit bar.
Okay.
So energy bar, as I said, is purely carbohydrates. It is 30 grams of carbs per bar. What's nice about both of the bars is that they're very easy to consume and very easy to digest. The idea for Namit Sport as a brand is to get the products in, get them down, and get them working. We don't want to take away from your performance by having to focus on nutrition, tearing a bar open, pulling it out, chewing it. We know riding at high intensity and that gets a little bit dry. Putting food into your mouth is not always ideal. So yeah, energy bar is essentially a fruity Rice Krispie treat. So it's a puffed rice with a fruit syrup that holds it together. And then our Total Energy fruit bar is a combination of puffed rice with fruit pieces. You're also getting vitamin C, B6 and B1 in the bar. And what they've done is they've actually taken a little bit further. They've put a very thin like rice paper wafer layer on the top and the bottom. And what that does is it stops the bar from sticking to the packaging.
Oh, that
so
makes
no matter the heat, you can tear the packaging open and pull the bar out completely. And it's not going to make your fingers sticky either. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
We do have some questions on the Facebook Live video at the moment. The first one coming from Tony Paulo. How many flavors are there in the range?
In the range? Flavors? Sure, there's quite a few.
Is it?
With HydroFit, we've only got one flavor at the moment, which is your red orange. So red orange is kind of in between a grapefruit and an orange. So it's not going to be overly citrusy and it's not going to be too bitter. It's a very easy palatable flavor. Your Isolam comes in two options, which is your red orange and a lemon flavor.
Okay.
Lemon being, it's not citrus lemon, it's not a sour lemon, it's actually a very refreshing lemon. My personal preference is the lemon flavor. In terms of the bars at the moment in South Africa, energy bar, we've got 3 flavors. Fruit bar, we are at about 4 flavors, but we are cutting down the range a little bit to two of our better sellers. Protein bars, I think we've got 4 flavors in at the moment. The Protein Bar Zero, we've got 3 flavors currently in the country. And then with our gels, we've actually gone a little bit differently to other brands. Some brands will go same formula with different flavors.
Okay.
We've essentially got 1 flavor per formula. So we'll have something like our Sport Gel, which will have 4 different flavors, 4 different formulas. Total Energy Gels, 3 different flavors, 3 different formulas. So we don't really want to have just one formulation and different flavoring. I wanted to have different types of gels and different types of bars that will work in different situations.
Brilliant. Another question from Richard Harris. Thank you guys for these questions. Well, firstly he says he loves the brand, he thinks it's awesome. And then he's asking bars versus gels, which is better for a longer ride?
Again, I think that comes down to your personal preference. If you like to eat, if you don't like to eat and you prefer a gel, it does come down to your preference. So, for me,
I just want to plug my laptop in.
Yeah, I normally look at around 70 grams of carbs per hour. So I normally drink about a bottle of HydroFit, which is 15 grams. And then I'll consume a Total Energy gel. The Hydra is my favorite, which brings in up to about 28 grams.
Yeah.
And then I'll hit an energy bar, which is 30 grams. So that generally brings me into my range that I need. But again, that just comes down to personal preference. If they do want to eat, go for the bars. If you want to go for more nutrients, you're going to look at your gels, because they are going to give you either caffeine, guarana, taurine on the strong, or you're going to look at branched chain amino acids or vitamins and minerals.
Another very debated topic in cycling and sport in general is when to use caffeine. So I mean, there's these two little guys over here.
That one.
This one and that one.
Those are two caffeine.
These are two caffeine supplements.
Yep.
And caffeine can be quite important to being on the podium and being off the podium for the racing snakes.
So caffeine is often debated whether it works or not. But,
and how much as well.
So if we look at caffeine, there's a lot of studies that are coming out which show the effectiveness of caffeine. Okay. So not only is it going to help from a mental aspect, so it's going to help with that sort of activation within the brain to keep you more focused. Also, what it does is it's going to give you a different perception of what you're going through. You're going to think that you can go harder and faster without necessarily feeling the pain. It's going to give you a little more of that focus, but it also has an impact physiologically in terms of how your body's going to react to activity and react to the punishment that you're putting the body under. Okay. Ideally, you want to sort of look at, I think it's 5 to 6 grams of, 5 to 6 milligrams of milligrams. Sorry, not grams. Milligrams of caffeine per kilo of body weight. So 100 kg guy. Okay, that's a bit heavy for our elites. But it's easy to do the math.
No, we're not talking about the elites now. We're actually just looking for the.
You're going to look at sort of 400 to 500 milligrams of caffeine. Okay. So it does sound like quite a bit. Your general espresso will give you about 80, 90 milligrams of caffeine. So you're looking at 3 to 4. Okay. So it is quite a bit, but that is where your caffeine supplements can come in to make it a little bit easier to get that caffeine into the system. Our shot is going to give you 180 milligrams of caffeine in total. Okay. And it also has other great ingredients like guarana, taurine, elderberry, niacin, B6, B12, vitamin C. What's also nice is both of these products have magnesium citrate in them, which is going to help with the muscle function. Okay.
Brilliant. I mean that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean what we've touched on today is absolutely fantastic. We are running a little bit out of time. Last question. Which athletes does the brand sponsor kind of internationally?
Internationally, the brand is sponsoring 3 UCI teams at the moment, or four UCI teams. So you got Cofidis, Astana, AG2R Le Mondial. And then also Sunweb. Locally, we are sponsoring Team ProTouch. We also have just started working with Customized Cycling, the ladies team.
Oh, wow.
And then we're also assisting Kinetic Pro Cycling development team down in the Cape.
So you're helping the young talented riders coming through?
We need to. I think Cycling South Africa needs to focus on the development guys, and we want to try and get there and help them out.
No, thank you for giving back and
something that we also did a little bit of an initiative during lockdown was we went through to Helen Joseph Hospital, and we decided that we wanted to help fuel the frontline workers as well during the pandemic. So we went through, we took a couple of bars and some HydroFit and assisted the doctors there to keep going.
That's great. So we do have two hampers with $750, which we are going to give away today from the show. But there's 2 questions that we're going to ask. The first one, let's think about it. Where is Namit Sport from? So where's it from? What country does it come from? That's the first question. Leave it in the comments. If you're the first one to get the answering and it's correct, you can get a hamper with $750. Second question, what should the second question be?
What are the 3 biggest events that Namit Sport sponsors?
That's a good one. What are the 3 biggest events that Nama Sport sponsors, and one is currently happening at the moment. It's the 3 biggest races in the world, so not that difficult. If you're the first one to get the answer in and it's correct, you can get that hamper worth $750.
Cool.
But yeah, I think we are running out of time. We're on 25 minutes, so let's wrap it up. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
So much for coming through. It was a privilege to have you on here and to speak about nutrition. And if you guys see this orange brand in Cyclelab, you know what it's all about now.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
it really does stand out. You walk
No, it
in
does.
and you see the orange, and it's like, so,
Yeah.
I mean, you can click
Yeah.
Nama Sport orange, and
That's
it's so easy to notice.
And even on the tours, you know,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is pretty much
Yeah, the
painted
banners,
orange.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
they've
100%.
tried to get it out there and really get the color out and get the brand recognized. You know,
Yeah.
we do the whole podium at the finish. You know, we've got
Yeah.
our big blow-ups everywhere, and I think if you've been at quite a few of the events around the country that we've been at,
You
you've
can-
seen all of our
So you
brands.
see the orange, this is it. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. We will be back next week, same time, same place, in the Performance Lab at Cyclelab 4Ways, with a new guest and a new speaker. So Cyclelab Coffee Time. I love this time of the week because we know it's weekend tomorrow and we can get out there and ride our bikes. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you out on the road.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.